Very off topic, but I got this beautiful sweater from a thrift store, and it's just a bunch of dancing elephants, which just encapsulates my personality, to be honest. Welcome to Julia's Knits, and today we're just going to have a bit of a more relaxed, chatty video while I knit my latest project. And yeah, we'll talk about a few things. So today what I wanted to talk about was the general process of designing your own garment and the challenges. I'm currently knitting up something that's still kind of in the works and that I might want to release as a pattern, but it's still in its early infancy stages. So I'll show you what it is. So it has a lot of ends that I haven't weaved in yet, but you know, if we can just ignore that and appreciate just the overall construction. There are a few things I do want to change, so this isn't the final product, but that's kind of the idea. It's just this one it's just this one shoulder knit top that kind of goes on the left shoulder, but you know, I'm going to design the pattern where you can do the left or right, because really you can kind of just flip it forwards or backwards to make it the orientation you want it to be. But really the design that I was going for is this color block design that's very summery, very bold. So yeah, that's what I've been cooking up. But this was actually the first of many trials to get this pattern to work. But as you can see here, I had a lot of trouble with the actual decreases, because what I did with this one is I started from the bottom with the ribbing and worked my way up. So I was going to decrease for the sloping edge, but I didn't like how that looked. I didn't like how there was a bit of a bulge on the edges here because of those decreases. I wanted a more seamless effect that didn't kind of showcase that decrease as much. So again, it was trial and error. I had to remake another one shoulder top, this time with a different yarn, actually a more chunkier yarn than this, because this is made out of cotton. I will put the description down for what yarn it is, but it's these really gorgeous colors. It's by Abbey Road. I know it's by Abbey Road, but it's their cotton range, and it's really pretty. It's really just screaming out summer. So that was the first one. Mind you, this is the first one. But I didn't like how that looked, and so I did it again on a different kind of yarn, which is probably something I shouldn't have done. And I knitted it up in chunkier wool because I was a bit impatient with the whole process. So on top of that as well, I knitted it with yarn that was chunky that I had of limited amount. So I actually didn't have enough to actually finish the project. So this is the second trial. Again, a lot of ends that haven't been weaved in. Sorry about that. But I really love the color of this. And so this is chunkier, this is more cropped, because maybe I thought that might be better suited. But again, I still have those decreases along the slope that I thought might look better and more integrated into the actual garment. But I generally don't like it. I don't like how that kind of stands out. I'd rather have it blend in a bit more. But I thought it was really cute, and I really like the color of this one. Again, this is by Abbey Road. They're 100% merino wool. It's super chunky, but you can see I didn't have enough wool to complete it. And so that's looking like that. I'm gonna have to rip it back up and save it for another project. So what I did next is I got a less chunkier wool for a third try. And I came with something that I was pretty darn happy with. You ready? So this is it. She's gorgeous, I know. So as you can see, I've changed the sloping decreases. They're actually not decreases anymore. They're actually bind-offs. What? Bind-offs. So it's really just bind-offs to make that sloping edge. And I just really like how more seamless it looks. The stockinette stitches go right into that bind-off edge, rather than having it crisscross and make an edge like in those decreasing slopes, which I didn't really like. So really, I've changed that and I'm pretty happy with it. It is a bit, like if you can see, it's kind of rolling because of that stockinette stitch tension. But when you wear it on, that rolling is not there. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with this. I actually really love it. And I can't believe that I did this. I did this in like a night, just a whole night of just me ruthlessly trying to finish this up and getting so hooked into the whole process. And it's really just made me realize how much I love designing and how many other designs I have in my head that I just really want to make, but you know, I only have 2 hands and very limited time. But yeah, this is her. This is just, I don't know, I really love it. Anyway, what I did is I wrote up this pattern, and that was the next challenge, right? Writing up a pattern. But I was really good. When I was knitting this up, I was writing up a rough pattern on my phone, just in the Notes app, so that I can keep track of what I was doing. That's always a good tip when you want to start out designing your patterns. As you go through the actual garment and knitting it up, you want to take notes. Don't knit on the fly and think you'll remember it all in your head when you actually sit down to try and write up the pattern. So I did the knitting pattern a few nights ago, and I have used this excellent resource to help me do that, because I've never written up a pattern properly, you know, inclusive of all sizes, you know, from S to like 5XL, sorry, XS to 5XL. Those were all very new to me, and so the resource that I found really helpful was sistermountain.com. She has a ton of articles about how to design your knitting garment from start to finish, and how to actually grade the garments into different sizes. I really enjoyed, you know, reading and actually learning and using an Excel spreadsheet to kind of think about all the sizes and how many stitches you need to cast on for like a 5XL as compared to an S, which was my size. So I really liked it, and how many bind-offs you need to do along the slope edge, because the bigger it is, the more bind-offs you're gonna have. And yeah, so that was really, really fun. I enjoyed the process. It did give me a bit of a headache the first night, but you know, I just gave it a rest and came back to it the next night, and it was actually all good. But anyway, let's have a bit of a chat while I knit this thing. Oh, let me just show you what I'm knitting as well. So you probably can tell what it is. It's a balaclava. Looks very weird at this point, but I think it's gonna turn out really nice. So this is the Balaclava #1 from My Favorite Things Knitwear. I'm making it in this yarn that was kindly gifted to me by a friend, and I really love how it's looking at the moment, with the, you know, pretty knits and then garter stitches in between. I think that's such a cool stitch pattern. I'm not really sure what it's called, if there's a name for it. There probably is. So let's talk about designing your own sweater or whatever kind of garment you'd like to do. It is quite daunting, because you think that you might not have the skills or the confidence to really knit anything. But I think you know, you can always start simple. I just started with a simple top, nothing like a sweater that, you know, has like neckline shaping and like shoulder shaping and things like that. So I started pretty basic, test the waters. So I think that's a good thing to do before you kind of dive in deep. And I was really surprised, really. I mean, like, I think you also have to lower your expectations a bit about how fast or how well the design will be in your first attempt, because it took me like 3 tries to get the actual design that I was really happy with. Expect that you will kind of have to rip back a lot of your yarn to start again. Maybe you're not happy with the yarn you're using, you're not happy with the design overall. That can happen. A lot of things can go wrong along the way, a lot of things that you don't account for. So just be wary of that. So this is the other thing I'm knitting up. This is, again, the wool is by Abbey Road. I think it's their mix of baby alpaca and perhaps maybe a bit of merino as well. It's really, really soft, but I'm knitting up a pair of fingerless gloves. This is actually following the pattern by Well Love Knits. She's got a free pattern on that, which is very cute. It's mimicking the petite knit fingerless gloves, and I've always wanted to make those, and so that's kind of also working up. It's just really the wrist at the time being, nothing too exciting. But yeah, I hope that you found this useful. I hope that if you're thinking about designing something and you're just too scared to jump in, just really jump in, and you'll learn a lot along the way. Definitely check out sistermountain.com. She is really, really lovely. She's really, really helpful in terms of starting your own designing process. So I found her quite a gem in the journey. Happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy doing whatever you really like to do.